You're listening to the One Man Show Network. Welcome to the MMA Fight Picks Podcast with your host, Aaron Weinbaum.
Hey kids, welcome to the MMA Fight Picks Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Weinbaum, and today we are picking fights for UFC 238, which is this weekend, June 8th at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. I'm a little bummed. I probably could have made it to this event. It's about 6 hours from my house, but I couldn't get away. Too much stuff going on. But, you know, that's real life. I hope I can keep this Periscope stream up. We have quite a little thunderstorm outside my house, but I got to record when I got to record. If you're on the Periscope, feel free to chime in and help pick some fights. If you're on the YouTube, feel free to hit subscribe. And, yeah, thanks for listening. All right, first up, this is a heck of a card, by the way. Usually I only pick a few fights, but so many of these fights are intriguing. I'm going to have to go and pick a bunch. So, first up, Katlyn Chookagian versus Joanne Calderwood. All right, so let's look at Katlyn first. She just last lost to Jessica Eye, who is now fighting for the flyweight women's title this weekend. I'll get to that later. But she has never lost. She only has one other loss back in 2016 against Liz Carmouche. And then you got JoJo, who has 2 wins in a row, but lost before that to Cynthia. Calvillo. Also lost to Jessica Andrade. Okay, this is interesting. So, I think just by strength of schedule alone, I think Katlyn's got this, and she will probably get the nod against Joanne Calderwood. Now, I cannot pronounce this name for the life of me, but I got to pick a fight, any fight that Angela Hill is in. She's such a fan of the iQuinta Realty account. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. Xian Yan against Angela Hill. All right. Yan, let's look at her first. All right. She's never lost, ever. And she has 3 wins in the UFC. That's crazy. But she has not fought since November 2018. Now, her wins come against people I've never heard of. Now, Angela Hill, on the other hand, I think she just took a short notice fight against Jodie Esquibel. Won that. Before that, she had 2 losses in a row. Ronda Marcos, Courtney Casey. And she's been kind of, off and on with the wins and losses. But I think Angela's putting it together. I got to say she's going to win this fight. And, hopefully get herself into contention. Now, this one's really under the radar. Ricardo Lamas and Calvin Kattar. Man, let's look at Ricardo. I mean, he did just win against Darren Elkins, and I actually picked against him, I believe. Before that, he loses to Mirsad Bektic, a split decision, loses to Josh Emmett by like 1 punch. But he has some real good wins here. Jason Knight, Charles Oliveira, who probably missed weight. Yes, he did miss weight. Loses to Max Holloway. Everyone does. But he has a win against Diego Sanchez. Now let's go against, let's look at Calvin Kattar here. Calvin, let's see, he did lose to Renato Moicano, who just got beaten recently by Jose Aldo. He has a win against Chris Fishgold more recently, October. And, really hasn't tasted a loss since then. I like Ricardo Lamas. I really do. I think this is Kattar's time. And I think he's going to edge it out. Next up, Carolina Kowalkiewicz. I know I'm saying that wrong. Against Alexa Grasso. All right, Carolina, she has lost 2 in a row. A decision loss against Michelle Watterson, and then Jessica Andrade. And, Andrade now the champion at 115 pounds. Before that, she has wins over Felice Herrig. Jodie Esquibel loses to Claudia, loses to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, former champion. Then Alexa Grasso. Lost against Tatiana Suarez, everyone does. Wins against Ryan Marcos, loses against Felice Eryk, wins against Heather Jo Clark, Jody Escobar, and then, all wins from there on out. Man, I'd say Carolina, is my first instinct. She has fought some killers, and, so has, why am I blanking? So has Alexa. Man, this one's probably the hardest one to pick out of all of it. But I think Carolina does edge her out. Strength of schedule, people she has beaten. Oh, yeah. All right, next up, the human backpack. The Funk Master, Aljamain Sterling, going up against Pedro Munoz. Man, Aljo looks so good in his last fight against Jimmy Rivera, this is a strange deal. Jimmy Rivera, somehow he's on the pay-per-view. Aljo's in the prelims. Aljo ain't got no time for that. He's got 3 wins in a row, 3 strong wins. Jimmy Rivera, Cody Stamen, Brett Johns. He lost to the man going for the championship, Marlon Moraes. And then you got Pedro Munoz. Okay, he won that slugfest against Cody Garbrandt. Here's the thing. Aljo's going to wrestle with him. He's not going to stand there and swing at him or swing with him like an idiot. Pedro has a win over Brian Caraway, Brett Johns. Well, guess what? So does Aljo. Loses to John Dotson way back in March 2018. Win over Rob Font. Listen, I think this is Aljo's time. He gets better and better each fight. This has got to be a number 1 contender fight. If there's any number 1 contender fight out there, this is going to be it. And I think this is Aljo's time. I think he fights for the title this year. I know it's kind of a bold prediction, but, who else is there? All right, next up. Man, Tatiana Suarez, Nina Azarenov. All right, I think Tatiana is about as unstoppable as you can get right now. Never lost, just beat Carla Esparza by TKO. Alexa Grasso. I think this girl's on a tear. I think she is the next big thing here at 115 pounds. Nino's no slouch. She's got win also over Claudia Gagelia, Rand Marcos, Angela Hill. But I think Tatiana's a whole different animal. I think she edges us out. I think she just grapples her to death and does whatever she wants. This is so bad. Tai Tuivasa, come on, dude. I don't want to see a shoey as long as I live. Hey, thanks for everyone jumping on the Periscope. Feel free to comment in here. I don't want to see a shoey as long as I live. All right, and I'm going to butcher this name, but it's Blagoy Ivanov. All right. So Tai Tuivasa just most famously lost to Junior. That's his only loss in the UFC. For that, he's got wins over Andre Arlovsky, Cyril Asker, Rashad Coulter, James McSweeney. Oh my gosh, James McSweeney. That's a blast from the past. And then he got Blagoy. He's got to win Ben Rothwell. Some people say he lost that. I don't think so. I mean, it was a unanimous decision. I don't think Ben did much there. Loses also to Junior Dos Santos. Oh, man, this is a tough one. He's got a nice win over Sean Jordan, and I think Sean Jordan's underrated. But we got to go with the shoey on this. I don't want to see the shoey. If he wins, good. But no shoey. No shoey, please. I mean, it's gross. I don't want to drink out of somebody's foot. Jimmy Rivera over Petra Yan. Man, Jimmy. All right, so Jimmy just lost to Aljo, of course, has a win before that. John Dotson loses to Marlon. Head kick, boom, punches, down. But lots of wins, Thomas Almeida, Uriah Faber, Yari Alessandra, Pedro Munoz, Marcus Brimage. This guy's got quite a record. And then you got Petra Yan. Oh, man, just won over John Dotson. It was a decision. Douglas Silva de Andrade. Jinsu Son. Ooh. I think Jan's good. I think Jimmy's just a little bit better. He's a little bit stronger competition here. But I could be wrong on this one, but I'm going to go with Jimmy. Petra could surprise me. And if he does, it's going to be tough for me to pick against him. All right, this one's a really tough one for me to pick. And Tony Ferguson against Donald Cerrone, Cowboy Cerrone. Okay, Tony's been out for a while, and that doesn't concern me so much because he's been out before, and he's come back, and he's done some amazing things. But, there's some talk of, he's having some psychological problems. He thought there were bugs playing on him. I'm not ragging on the guy at all. When did the last time he fought? He fought October last year. All right, before that, he fought almost a year to the day before that, Kevin Lee submission triangle. He was supposed to fight for the championship with Khabib, and he had that freak injury. And then you got Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He just fought last month, Audio-Technica, May 4th. Literally just a little over a month ago. And it was a beating, but especially in those later rounds, but Donald took some hard punches too, and Donald's not eating spring chicken anymore. I know he used to take these short notice fights all the time. Now you got back to Tony, how serious were these psychological problems? Is he on psychotropic drugs, prescription drugs? And that affects your training, because Mike Tyson, same deal. He would train, but he'd have to come off. And, during training. So now maybe Tony didn't, but these drugs, they affect some certain things. They affect your heart rate. They affect your mind. So I don't know. I don't know how that will affect him, but I will tell you this, ring rust does not. And then Donald, 3 great wins in a row. Audio-Technica, Alexander Hernandez, Mike Perry. And that Mike Perry was back at welterweight. I don't know how hard this weight cut is for him, but fighting more frequently helps him because he's staying in shape. He's keeping that weight down. Man. Here's the thing. I know he beat Audio-Technica, but he took some punches from Audio-Technica. Tony doesn't seem to show that he has ever any signs of ring rust. And I think that, I think Tony is going to edge us out. I don't know how, but Donald could catch him. And it's just a matter of time before Tony gets knocked out. He got rocked against Funky Lando Venata. Yeah, I am going to go with my instinct here. I'm going to say Tony Ferguson takes this. Co-main event in the evening, Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Eye. Man, I think... Listen, let's look at Shevchenko. She could still be competitive at 135 pounds. She just beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who came up in weight. Before that, she beats Priscilla Cachoeira. She loses to Amanda Nunes, who is a killer, just beat Cyborg, but it was a split decision. Wins over Juliana Pena, Holly Holm. These are all at 135 pounds. So, she's a killer at either weight class. And then you got Jessica Eye. She has several wins in a row. Caitlin Chukagian, Jessica Rose Clark, Calindra Fiera. Before that, she has 3 in a row. I think these are at, of course, 135 pounds, bantamweight. So, Sarah McMahon, Julia Pena, Misha Tate. I like Jessica Eye. I do, but I think Shevchenko is just a killer. And I think she's going to be at 125-pound champ for a long time. So I'm going to have to go with my instinct here and pick Valentina. Now, next up, this is going to be really tough for me to pick. This is the championship for 135 pounds. The bantamweight division. You have the flyweight champ coming up to 135 pounds to face Marlon Moraes. Now, I think if he wins this, I don't know what happens to the 125-pound division. If he loses this, I still don't know what happens to the 125-pound division. I don't think this is a priority for Dana to keep that around. I hope, if he gets rid of it, I hope for sure there's a 165-pound division that comes in. But let's look at Cejudo. Beats Henry doesn't beat Henry. Henry beats TJ Dillashaw at 135 pounds or 125 pounds for the flyweight champ. Dillashaw tried to come down to 125 pounds. He got beat quickly. He gets popped for EPO. Before that, he wins a razor sharp decision against Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson. Wins over Sergio Pettis, Wilson Hayes. loses to Joseph Benavidez not so long ago, December 2016. Then you got Marlon. What a tear this guy's been on, just knocking people silly left and right. You know, he submitted Rafael Assunção, KOs Jimmy Rivera, KOs Aljamain Sterling, split decision against Dodson, which is strange. And he lost to Assunção. You know, of course, he did avenge that, as I just said. You know, Henry's a different kind of athlete. You know, obviously an Olympic gold wrestling winner. And that's a whole special kind of training right there. And, you know, if he ties it up with Marlon, who knows what's going to happen. But Marlon can catch him. Marlon can knock him out. And we'll see how efficient he is with his energy. I know that's a cliche, how efficient Henry is. You know, these guys coming up lately, they just kind of have this whole newfound energy. Look at Kevin Lee. And, you know, they go. And you got these guys that are used to being big, even fighting bigger guys. I'm going to go with the champ. And this is against popular opinion. I'm going with the champ, Henry Cejudo. I'm sorry, Marlon Moraes to beat Henry Cejudo. And that's it. We've done it. Thank you so much for listening. That's the MMA Fight Picks podcast. And until next time, shalom.
Please remember to support the podcast by visiting the affiliate links on AaronSaysWhat.com.